There are moments when you suddenly begin to see your life not from the inside, but as if from the outside. Not through the eyes of your body, but through something else. And in that view is sobriety. Hard, naked, almost frightening. You look at your actions, the conversations you've had, the masks you've worn, and you get this strange feeling that none of it was really you. It's as if someone was living in your place. Someone breathed, spoke, chose. But not you. Not madness. Not fantasy. It's an awakening. Not loud, not bright. Rather, quiet, like stepping on dry leaves inside your soul. It's like being in a play for a long time, but only now realizing that you didn't know the text. That you were playing a role written by someone else. And the mask had fused with your skin. And you couldn't remember the first time you put it on. Most people live like that. Without realizing it. Inside someone else's script. Influenced by those who are long gone. Thousands of voices echo through you, and you call it yourself. But at some point there is silence. And in that silence is a crack. Imperceptible. Barely audible. It's not tearing, it's not screaming. It's just there. Like something inside has stopped sounding right. It's not anxiety. It's not fear. It's subtler than that. It's a falseness you didn't notice before. It's as if your whole life was a musical score. And now there's a false note. A note that only you can hear. It's not loud. But it's where it starts. And that's when you realize you're not alone. There's someone inside you watching. Not evaluating. Not judging. Just watching. He's always been there. He's seen everything. And finally he woke up. It's not a conscience. Not an emotion. Not a thought. It's a witness. Jung called it the center. It doesn't give advice. He doesn't demand change. He just can't be silent anymore. You can try to go back to the old. Continue the game. Put the mask back on. But it won't work. Because you know. You saw it. You felt it, it wasn't you. Life will never be the same again. Because lying doesn't feel natural anymore. You can't pretend you can't hear that voice. You can't forget you were in a dream. And you can't believe again that you are the person you used to be. Powerful conclusion. When the witness wakes up inside you, it no longer lets you live by the old rules. It exposes, your actions, your words, even your desires are not really yours. And what guides them now has a name. There are forces that you can't touch, but they touch you every day. You may not know them, but they know you. They live in your reactions. The way you furrow your eyebrows when you don't say the right thing. The way you smile when you're not happy. The way you choose people, the way you react to pain, the way you lie to yourself. It's not just a habit. It's a code. It's as old as human nature itself. It needs no explanation. It's triggered. It's as if a button is pressed and you act. Silently. Without pause. Jung called it an archetype. Not an image. Not a character trait. A living pattern. It's not in the head. It's in the blood. It breathes through generations. It's stitched in stories. In dreams. In bodies. And most of all, in you. When you laugh at yourself, it's not you. When you fall in love with someone who destroys you, that's not you. When you're kind to the point of self-destruction, that's not you. It's him. The archetype. He plays you like a musician plays an instrument. And you think it's your sound. But you didn't choose the notes. You're just used to sounding the way you're told to sound. The archetype doesn't ask permission. It acts. It's deeper than the personality. It's older than pain. It is the root from which your decisions grow. You don't see him acting because he's quiet. But he determines who you like, who you fear, how you love. He speaks to you not in words but in recognizability. When you meet someone and it's as if you've always known them. When a situation repeats itself and you say, something familiar. You're not repeating. You're replaying an ancient script. And you're not the author. When you're a kid, it's just a game. You save your mom, you become a hero. You dream of a prince, you become the victim. You're afraid of your father, you become a fugitive. All the roles are already written. You just repeat them. And then you grow up and you don't notice the script is still there. A change of scenery doesn't change the play. And you're good again. You suffer again. You save again. Not because you want to. It's because you don't notice who's inside you. The archetype is not an enemy. It's a mirror. It doesn't make you worse. It shows you who you are without filters. And when you realize it, it loses power. But the archetype doesn't come alone. Every light has its shadow. Every hero has his destroyer. Every victim has his executioner. And whatever you repress stays silent until time. You think you're only one side. But the archetype is not divided. It is whole. It brings everything. And if you can't see your shadow, then you are in it. Powerful conclusion. You can't destroy the archetype. But you can see it in yourself. And when you see it, it's no longer controlling you. It's waiting for you to become not an actor, but someone who writes the script. There is an image that has been fostered in us since childhood. Bold, independent, fights for the truth, overcomes. They call him a hero. And you want to be one. You want to save, prove, fight. Because that's what the journey is all about. And it feels like it's your choice. But you don't notice how that image starts to live on for you. You take on the pain of others. You stand up to the end where you should have walked away a long time ago. You prove when you should be silent. You fight even when the enemy is yourself. That's not a strength. It's a program. The hero is an archetype that doesn't just inspire. He demands. He demands victory. He demands meaning. It demands a feat. And if you don't have it, you feel insignificant. You can't just live. You have to be needed. You have to be strong. You have to be a rescuer. You don't let yourself fall. You don't let yourself get tired. And in that beautiful armor, you forget the most important thing. The hero who doesn't face his shadow destroys everything he tries to save. Because the shadow is not evil. It is the unseen truth. The hero's shadow is his wound, his fear, his insecurity, his hidden aggression. He doesn't want to see her. He calls it weakness. He hides it. He puts on a mask of light and goes out to save the world. But there's a polarity inside him. And the brighter the hero, the deeper his night. Jung said, "You don't become whole by rising to the light. You become whole by descending into the shadow." Because the hero who hasn't passed the darkness is just a phantom. He doesn't save. He compensates. The hero's journey is not a journey upward. It's a journey inward. It doesn't begin when you pick up the sword, but when you let go of the armor. When you stop fighting and start seeing. When you face your distortion and don't turn away. A true hero isn't in the fighting. It's about honesty. It's in recognizing that you're not always good, that you're not always strong, that you're not always right. It's about staying with yourself, in silence, no victories, no applause, without being needed, because it's the only way he sees who he's been all along, and who he's never been. A hero is not a title. It's not proof. It's a witness who saw his shadow and didn't condemn it. And that's why he doesn't have to be perfect anymore. He can be himself. Powerful conclusion. The hero who has seen his shadow no longer saves others in order to save himself. He lives not for the sake of the feat, but for the truth. And it is only from this point that the real power begins. Translated with deepl.com, free version. You think you're in control. You build your life, your relationships, your decisions as if by a blueprint. You're afraid of making mistakes. You're afraid of failure. Afraid of losing what holds your reality together. But behind that, it's not power. It's fear. Fear of inner chaos. Fear of facing the fact that you are not in control of yourself. Fear of seeing that behind everything you do is a script. And that script wasn't written by you. You didn't choose what you like. You didn't choose who to love. You didn't choose what to be. You were just playing a role that was written before you were born. That's not a bad thing. It's natural. Because that's how the psyche works. It builds a mask to survive. To be liked. To be accepted. To be needed. Jung called it the false self. The mask. A persona. The role you live in. Heroic. Intelligent. Kind. Perfect. You wear it so long you forget there's someone else inside. Someone wild. Someone vulnerable. Someone alive. But the false self isn't just a protector. It becomes a prison. The more you try to be right, the further you stray from the truth. You don't live because you want to, you live because you have to. You choose not because you feel like it, but because it's the right thing to do. And at some point you start to choke. But you don't give up. You increase your control. You work harder. You think deeper. You analyze more accurately. All to avoid facing a central truth. Control doesn't save. It hides. You're afraid of disintegration. You're afraid that if you let go, you'll be gone. That if you don't be good, don't be strong, don't be needed, everything will fall apart. You're afraid of breaking. But you don't realize that it's in breaking that real life begins. Because what's breaking isn't you. It's your mask. It's your old form. It's your old script. Breaking is not destruction. It's an initiation. You are not breaking down. You are coming out of illusion. Liberation is not about control. It's about trust. It's in silence. Humility. When you allow yourself to be imperfect. When you admit, I don't know. I'm not in control. I just am. It's not weakness. It's a return. The false self is afraid of silence. It's afraid of being exposed. But when it falls away for the first time in a long time, you meet the self. Not a character. Not a mask. Not an image. But the one who's been living inside and waiting. without the need to be someone, without the fear of being yourself. Powerful conclusion. True liberation is not in victory but in disintegration. Because only by destroying the false self do you meet the self, not the one you've been taught to be, but the one who was there from the beginning. You want to be good, clean, fair. You try to be honest, strong, generous. You try not to be angry, not to envy, not to be afraid. You call it growth, self-control, consciousness. But really you're running away. You're running away from the shadow. It's not bad. It's not dark in the usual sense. It's a displaced part of you. Something that didn't fit the image. Something you might not have been loved for. Something you hid to survive. Jung said the shadow is everything you don't want to be, but what you are anyway. You don't want to be cruel, but you dream of revenge. You don't want to be weak, but you suppress fatigue every day. You don't want to be bad, but you're filled with irritation. And it's all you. Only hidden, abandoned, locked in the basement. You didn't get rid of the shadow. You just stopped listening to it, but it's alive. And the more you deny it, the more fiercely it whispers. Sometimes with a scream. Sometimes through the body. Through breakdowns. Through dreams. Through sickness. Actions that you apologize for later. And you don't understand how it happened. What happened is that the shadow came out. Not to destroy, but to remind you that she's you too. Until you recognize it, you're a prisoner. You live half a life. You smile, but there's sadness in your eyes. You talk about love, but you're afraid of intimacy. You act boldly, but there's fear inside. Because the shadow won't rest. It doesn't agree to be banished. And here's the paradox. Only by recognizing your darkness do you become light. Not perfect, but whole. Because wholeness is not the absence of darkness. It's the integration of it. You are not only a hero. You're also a traitor. You are not only a creator. You are also a destroyer. You are not only wise. You are also mad. The shadow is not your enemy. It's your ally if you're willing to listen to it. It carries energy you couldn't use. Anger becomes strength. Fear into caution. Shame into honesty. A shadow doesn't ask for love. It asks to be seen. When you sit down next to it, not to fight but to realize, a miracle happens. You are no longer hiding. You're no longer running away. You're not playing into an image. You are becoming you. Powerful conclusion. The shadow doesn't destroy you. It liberates you. Because in its darkness lies your true power. And only when you pass through it, you begin to live not as a role but as reality. Do you remember what you dreamed of being when you were a kid? Not a profession. A state. Brave. Honest. Real. Someone who walks even when he's scared. Someone who protects even when he's weak. Someone who believes even when everyone else is laughing. That was a hero. He wasn't from the movies. He wasn't from a book. He lived inside you. He knew no fear because he was pure. He didn't think about what he'd look like because he was authentic. Then you grew up. You saw how the world worked. You realized that sincerity is scary. That bravery is punished. That honesty provokes aggression. And you started to forget. You started hiding. You became smarter, more cautious, more calculating. You learned to adjust. You became different. Comfortable. Safe. But the hero remains. He didn't disappear. He just retreated into the depths. He didn't interfere when you made choices out of fear. He didn't interfere when you gave up on your dreams. He was silent when you betrayed yourself. But he saw everything. And he waited. Waiting for you to get tired of not being you. When the masks become heavy. When the victories don't bring you joy. When the pain stops being external and becomes internal. Waiting for you to realize you haven't lost your way. You've lost yourself. And now you're going back. Not to where you were. But back to who you are. You start to hear things you've known for a long time. You feel a call that can't be explained. You're not looking for praise. You're not looking for approval. You go because you can't stand anymore. It's not pathos. It's a necessity. When the hero awakens in you, you can no longer live a lie. You don't try to defeat others. You win within. A hero is not someone who is always strong. It's someone who stays true to himself even in weakness. A hero is not about shouting. It's about the silence in which determination is born. A hero isn't about defeating the enemy. It's about conquering the fear of being yourself. You don't go back to the ideal. You return to truth. You don't become perfect. You're getting real. And I can see it. In the look. In the voice. In your step. A hero is not a role. It's you who stopped running. It's you who embraced your shadow. It's you who has realized the archetype. It is you who hears the witness. It is you who is alive. Powerful conclusion. The hero is not the one without fear. It's the one who walks in spite of it. And if you feel everything inside calling you to go, Then the hero is back. He is no longer forgotten. He's with you again. All this time you thought reality was stable. There's the outside. There's an inside. You're inside. The world is outside. You act, it reacts. You change, it stays the same. But it's an illusion. The world is not a background. It is not an indifferent screen on which you play. It's a mirror. It feels who you are. It hears your fear even if you are silent. He reacts to your insecurity even if you smile. While you were playing a role, the world was playing you. While you were pretending, reality became a mask too. You wanted the truth, but you hid yourself. You waited for love, but you were closed. You were angry at the world, but it was just a reflection of your shadow. But when the hero returns, everything changes. You no longer hope for something outside to fix your pain. You don't look for explanations for why things aren't working. You stop blaming. You stand up. You look into the eyes of what you used to hide from. You recognize that you built this reality. You are no longer the victim of a script. You're the author. And that's when the script cracks. You notice some people leave. Others come in. You don't fit the old stories anymore. You stop getting into things you used to tolerate. You say no where you've always been silent. You take a step where you used to freeze. And the world begins to respond. Because it always feels your vector. It doesn't hear your words. It hears your inner state. And as soon as you bring yourself back to yourself, it adjusts. It's not magic. It's not esoteric. It's the power of truth. Anything built on lies can't withstand the presence of a hero. Everything built on fear begins to crumble. Old contracts, old attachments, old roles, they disappear. And it's scary at first. Because it's not the world that's falling apart. It's what you thought was your world. What you're used to. What you held on to. But behind the collapse is freedom. Behind the chaos, a new order. Behind the pain of separation is a return to true connection. Behind the loss is true gain. The hero doesn't make the world perfect. He makes it real. He doesn't take away the pain. He shows where it was false. He doesn't erase fear. He leads through it. And that's the ultimate paradox. When you no longer hide anything, you no longer have anything to fear. When you no longer run away, everything starts moving towards you. When you reclaim yourself, reality becomes yours for the first time. Powerful conclusion. You don't just change on the inside. You change the very fabric of your life. For the hero has not just awakened in you. He has begun to create. And this world is his canvas.